because it's important to have a Black History Month. It's very important because it helps center a very marginalized and oppressed community within this country. And speaking as a Black person as well, um, there used to be a saying in Black Power movements of wherever you find a Black person around the world, it's very likely that they're being oppressed in some form or another, whether that's economically, politically, culturally, religiously, what have you. And so the thing is, in this, first of the two-part answer that I'm giving, is you cannot forget Black History Month. You have to imbue that with you, and part of imbuing that with you is going into my second part of this answer. Is we have to remember what came before. How did we get here? And it's not just the bad parts or the parts that we can easily see from the names on our congregations, on our seminaries, or even in our history books. It's also remembering those who have been a part of our community whose names have been lost to the struggle, or have just been forgotten because of institutional racism and systematic oppression in various ways. There are so many amazing Black Unitarians, Universalists, and Black Unitarian Universalists who have all contributed to the way our tradition looks today. And it's sad to see that we've had such radical figures, such great thinkers in our history, and yet it's almost impossible to find someone who could just name them off the top of their head. But they can name Emerson or Thoreau so easily, or Thomas Starr King, or what have you. And I think for a tradition that always is looking forward, always is looking towards the future, always progressing, we lose our focus if we forget our ancestors. And in Unitarian Universalism, it's important we remember all of our ancestors. And even though we're speaking right now about our Black UU ancestors, we also have to remember sometimes, like our Eastern European ancestors, our Indian ancestors, Japanese, and so forth, who were all part of this movement. And yet we lose track of that because, as I said in the first part of the answer, there is a short-term memory when it comes to these things. So we may think, yeah, but look at our wonderful president, and she is wonderful, Sofia Betancourt, who we see as a proud Afro-Latin woman, right up there, representing my community and representing all of Unitarian Universalism in the United States. But we don't tend to speak of the people that came before. And I think part of that is a bit troubling to me because it is nice to see more representation. It is nice that now I can, unlike maybe 100 years ago, stand in the pulpit and, be able to preach about these things. It is nice that, a church like Beacon will be able to welcome me and my struggles and everything like that. But, we don't speak about people, say, like the Reverend Ethelred Brown, who came from Jamaica and was a Unitarian minister. And not only, he would seem as if he came from a modern era of Unitarian Universalism. He was mixing righteous political action with, progressive theology in the early 20th century, which is very fascinating to think about. And to see, someone who was so proudly Black and Jamaican do that is interesting. And, we don't honor the memory of folks like Reverend Dr. Yvonne Sion, who was the first Black UU woman to become a minister. And you would think in almost any other tradition, we would see her name on congregational walls, or we would see her picture in seminaries. There would be classes taught about this great moment in history. But we lose that with our American short-term memory. And so I think as UUs, we sometimes need to look back, and not just look back at what's so easily found, but to dig a little bit deeper and find all those Black stories, Black lives, Black theologies, Black struggles that have really made us who we are today.